Peace, everybody. My name is Levi Rogers, and I'm coming to you from the UK branch of the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. So today we are going to come to you live on a Friday night. Hopefully, you got your drinks ready, you got your popcorn or a snack to sit down and enjoy the wise words that are going to come from three young brothers of this nation. Now, without further ado, I'm going to introduce my panel. So I now have Josiah Fowler, who is one member of Rise in the UK branch, and I have another named Eli Rogers. I think this might be the first time you've seen them both. So, hello guys. I hope you guys are happy to be here, and I hope that everybody at home watching takes something from our lesson. Now, our lesson today, we are teaching about why it is so important as an Israelite to have trust in the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And at the same time, we're going to examine what we see on the outside world, what we've seen, in today's time, what you guys might have seen in the news, and relate it back to the scripture. Now, before I, relate it back to, or before I start speaking about what we've been seeing on the news, because what I'm going to mention and what we're going to discuss, you guys have definitely seen it. I'm going to ask you guys a question really quickly, and by you guys, I mean Eli and Josiah. So, don't rush up at once. I want to ask you, what does trust mean to you guys?
I'll go first. So, with the word trust, I believe there's a lot of similes and stuff that come with it as well. But one being to have like confidence in or belief in something or someone.
Okay, great answer. We can definitely expand on that. Go for it, Eli. What about you?
Well, pretty much took. I'm gonna say the exact same thing, but I'll say believing in someone or something for them to do something for you, or possibly just I don't know, basically what Josiah said, having confidence in that they will do it. So yeah.
Okay, I think it's an interesting topic to get into, and the reason as to why I chose this topic is you guys can definitely relate with me in what I'm about to say, because we all live in the same environment and we see the exact same things, especially coming from where we're coming from. And we see, or what I personally have seen, especially coming out of school and people my age are starting to now live their own lives, they put their confidence in things that don't necessarily matter. For example, a young man's aim is to make as much money as possible, and that's what they put their confidence in, because they feel like that's what's going to make them stand out from the rest of people like us, or stand out from the rest of the world. They think their money is going to make them stand out, or the way that they dress, or everything that doesn't really matter. They put their confidence in, and I feel as if as an Israelite, the one thing that we need to do is put our confidence in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And we see that, especially in the Black community, it's like it's in our DNA to not put our trust in the God of Israel. Us as Israelites, so you got me, Eli, Josiah, me and Auntie 400, all of us guys help out and work, or have spoken, or have done something for Remember the 400. And I remember a couple of years back, I done a video on Instagram, and I mentioned about the children of Israel coming back to their father and whatnot. And that's because our trust, and bear in mind, the word trust has many synonyms. It has faith, or it has belief, or having a reliability in something. Our trust is not in the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And the reason as to why we chose this topic is because our goal is to bring back as many people, as much as the lost sheep of the house of Israel, back to our Father, and allow us to, or allow them to restore their trust in the God that their forefathers once worshipped.
Yeah.
So the case studies that we wanted to talk about, which, as I said, I'm sure everybody has definitely seen it, has been like the saga going on with Kanye West.
So
what do you guys think of that? What have you guys made from it?
No,
I'll say, I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy because it's crazy because some of the things he's saying is so. It's crazy. It's mad because like even his I was seeing something the other day because he said something about George Floyd. He didn't die by the police officer didn't put his knee on his neck, and I was just thinking, imagine how his family must have been feeling. How other people, even he has like young people, black
Following
people.
him,
Yeah,
looking
so
for him.
many
Yeah,
people are
Yeah.
there listening to him, thinking, "Oh, maybe that's true."
yeah.
You know? So
Before you
yeah,
expand on that, let me quickly elaborate before Josiah jumps in because I know he wants to say something. So hold your thought. But before you continue on that, we have two case studies today that we're going to examine with Kanye West, right? And as I said, everybody's been seeing the madness that this guy's actually been saying. Um, the first case study in which we want to bring up, which unfortunately we couldn't get the video to play, but we'll leave the link in the bio for you guys to look back at when you want. Is he's in an interview with, I forgot the guy's names, but he's in an interview and he's speaking about how George Floyd didn't actually die from the police officer's knee being on his neck, but he died from a an overdose in what drug was it? Fentanyl.
yes, fentanyl, I believe. Yeah,
He died from a fentanyl overdose. And as you said, imagine what the families are going through. So much so that the families actually are suing him for 215 million, rightfully so, right?
yeah, right.
But the way in which we're linking this to trust is because, as you said correctly, Eli, the black community, especially young black boys our age, right? Or even I'd go as far as to say up until like the age of 28, 29, 30.
Yeah.
How much this guy was a focal point for the black community and how many of them or us look up to him as like as a very influential figure and like a voice for our community. Um, the trust that our community has put into this man for him to just come out and say something like that after all the protesting that went on after his death, I think it's horrific. I
A
think it's
lot of
horrific.
controversy.
I'm happy he's being done for like some of the stuff he's saying. Obviously, he's had a lot of his deals been taken away, and we all know it's not really. I don't believe that's a consequence to what he said about George Floyd. It's about something else. But
Yeah.
you understand what I mean? The things he's saying are terrible. Just like what you're gonna say. Sorry, I'll cut you in.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Going on what Eli said, that a lot of that type of a lot of the stuff that's going on around that is crazy. You got a lot of people looking at him thinking maybe he is right. A lot of people, as you said, around our age, like I guess the people that he's attracted through his music are also seeing him as a leader as well. And even I was reading something about this article as well, the White Lives Matter thing on the shirt, about how he says that he sees himself as a leader. And yeah, so a lot of people are going to be looking at it. And then he's even been a while he's been doing it for. So if you even look back at when he was saying 400 years, sounds like 400 years of slavery sounds like a choice. So yeah,
yeah.
there's been a lot of stuff. Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff going on with that, and then yeah, you're gonna have people our ages, maybe even younger, looking at it because they might not know the history behind him, but they're seeing a famous rich black man who
Yeah,
probably they're aspiring to be, like as you said, saying these type of things. Obviously, people are gonna gravitate towards it. Some might disagree, but you're gonna have those that agree as well who don't know any better. So
yeah. Do you know what?
Can I ask a question
Go for it.
for both of you? I have because you just said the rich, like famous. That's what he is. So
yeah,
is that why you think a lot of black people, young people, look up to him or believe in the things he says?
It's a valid.
Personally, that's what I believe. I believe that's the reason.
That's definitely a valid question because if we look back at if I ask the average black boy in our community, who do you guys look up to? I'll take away footballers because we know in our community, footballers, there's a lot of people that look up to footballers, and not really because of the money, but genuinely because they love football. But if we find anybody else, who do you guys really look up to? Who do you guys aspire to be like? It's always, I wouldn't say it's always going to be money, but money is always going to be
Yeah,
a factor to why people look up to him or why people look up to a certain person. Do you understand? It's always going to play a part because money is attractive. Do you understand? So much so that God told us not to serve money specifically in the Bible. Do you understand? Obviously, there's other things, but he warned us about our lust for money in the Bible. You understand?
yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, and again, just to touch on our second case study, which my co-host mentioned also about Kanye West. If the moderator doesn't mind putting the picture up really quickly for you guys all to view, but you'll see Mr. Kanye West, the guy that is supposed to be the focal point again, and supposed to be the role model for the black community. Which I'll be honest, at one point he probably was. But this is what he's wearing: a T-shirt that clearly says "White Lives Matter." Now, before my words get misconstrued, I'm not directly opposing like the the ideology, not the ideology, thought of white lives mattering. But we all know in 2020 was the year when George Floyd passed,
Mm.
and the whole Black Lives Matter was a movement, and it was a hashtag, and it was, you know, trending on Twitter for how long. We all know that, you know, whenever somebody put white lives matter, it wasn't to say white lives matter also, it was more so an opposition to the whole movement of Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Understand? So him wearing this, and we all know Kanye West is very, or was very, very, very active on social media. So there's no way he doesn't understand the whole thought process of white lives matter. He definitely knows that it wasn't an opposition to Black Lives Matter, an opposition to the fact that people like me and you like had to fight. Do you understand? He definitely knew exactly what it was. And just for those I don't know, it's Candice Owen next to him as well. But that T-shirt that he's wearing literally goes against everything that people that look like him and us were fighting against. People, do you understand? We go through oppression every single day of our lives.
Yeah.
And what he's wearing, it opposes it completely.
Mm.
So I don't know. I don't know. I think, you know, the Black community should have really lost their trust and taken, not necessarily taken away his voice, but should have really stopped taking in what he's saying from the moment that, who was it, Josiah mentioned about when he said slavery was a choice. That should have been that should have been the that should have been the end of it. We shouldn't have looked at him or held him to the same standards that he was once held at. Do you understand? At one point he was literally a role model for people that look like you and I. Do you understand?
And just going back to that point where he said where he was talking about white lives matter, you've just basically said it as well. But it's the whole point. It's the reason why Black people in whenever 2020 were going on the marches and saying Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
It wasn't because like we're being racist. We're not saying Black Lives Matter over white lives or whatever. We're saying Black lives. It's also basically Black lives also matter as well as white lives. And as you said, so people, I wouldn't say the white, but people used to say anyone that said white lives matter, we would kind of consider them as a racist because of the fact that
opposing against the movement, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's a time to kind of for everyone, not only just Black people to come together. It was a time for everyone to come together and appreciate the Black Lives Matter movement. And for him just there saying white lives matter, it just shows I don't know, it's mad. And going back to what we said earlier about them looking up to someone with money, and that's the reason they believe in the things he says. I've just literally remembered it's true. I remember he was in done an interview with Piers Morgan the other day. And he said something about, I have more money than you. Why should I listen to you?
Yeah.
All that stuff. It's confusing to me. It's very confusing. Yeah.
I think Kanye West, I don't know, he is a problem. He is definitely a problem. And I think especially Kanye West, and I'd say Kanye West more so in the Black community, right? Or sorry, Kanye West definitely needs to be careful with what he's saying. As we said, the Black community put their trust in this man so much so that one, people were considering voting him in as president in 2018 when he had that whole campaign about joining president. Two, people have so much trust in this man, so much so that they allowed him to name himself Jesus. I think people forget that. This man named himself Jesus, and people just let it slide. Do you understand? He's comparing himself to like such a holy man. Do you understand? I think people forget how self-indulged this guy is, and how much trust the Black community or the world really and truly had in this man, to the point where they allowed him to get away with this. Do you understand what I mean? And I don't know. I think it's very, very, very dangerous putting your trust in a man like him, because putting your trust in a man like him will lead to one, brainwashing. Because again, all these messages that he's saying, yes, me, you, we can all have this discussion and say, you know, with the White Lives Matter thing or the whole George Floyd thing, he's just being silly, he's being stupid, I'm not going to listen to him. But there's always going to be that minority of people that genuinely take in what he's saying and believe what he's saying. So that's going to lead to one, brainwashing, and two, indoctrination. Because this guy, I feel like this guy just talks for the sake of talking, for attention. He never, ever, ever has stats or facts to back up what he's saying. I feel like he just says it to be the center of attention. And because he feels like he's got the influence, he knows he's got the influence, and he knows he's got the money and the status to sort of, you know, be important enough for people to listen to him. He's just going to speak and speak until, you know, what's happening now, everything's being taken away from him.
The thing is believe it or not, I actually believe he's brainwashed himself to actually believe what he's saying. So imagine if he believes in it himself. All these little children, like, what do you expect them to believe?
He's so
You know what I mean?
confident in what he's saying that he's probably taken in himself. Yeah.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. He has to believe what he's saying. You know what I mean? Like, even today, I read an article because obviously he's had to backtrack on everything he said now because he's lost. He's no longer making shoes with Adidas anymore. He's
Yeah.
he's lost his contracts with Balenciaga. All his Yeezys have been taken off shelves in shops. His record label or the label that Good Music are signed with, or something like that, they're distancing them. He's losing a lot of money and a lot of sponsorship.
Yeah.
And now he's even saying, look, Kanye West is saying I need to distance myself or detach myself from Ye because Ye was like his persona. Just like that's his persona, and that's probably the person that's making all these wild statements. So he's even just distancing himself from himself. Do you understand what I mean? Because he understands
Yeah.
that comment you said. He probably had to brainwash himself or convince himself that he's right. Do you understand what I mean? And I feel like he needs help. He genuinely needs help. And it's J. Cole was talking about. I saw a TikTok the other day. The name of the song, but I'm hoping my J. Cole fans are in the chat, right? But he had a song, and he had a whole verse. J. Cole had a whole verse about this was 3, 4, 5 years ago. A whole verse on the fact that this guy needs help. Do you understand? But because of the media and like he's making himself look a fool, and it's Kanye West, no one's gonna help him. You know what I mean? Him having all these outbursts is just making these newspaper and media outlets money. Do you understand what I mean? But he had a whole verse just speaking consistently about the fact that this guy needs help. He needs a reality check. He's not the same person he was how long ago. Do you understand what I mean? So I think he definitely needs to have a reality check, and he needs to definitely be careful because he's affecting our community. Do you know what I mean? As I said, us guys can sit here and have a conversation about how deluded this man is, but there's always going to be that minority that are going to take in word for word what he's saying because they have the trust in him or they believe in what he's saying. Do you understand? Or people have the faith in him that he will change society or change the world with what he's doing. Right? He's running for president again. So do you know what I mean? Black youths in 2018 when he was trying to run for president trusted him so much so that they allowed him to run for president and that they'd have their future would be in his hands. Do you understand what I mean? With the country. So yeah, as I said, Kanye West, he definitely needs help.
Yeah.
So
on top of that as well, gone adding on to what you said. In that I was reading something about the White Lives Matter shirt thing in the article, and it was talking about the things that he was saying as to why he went and done it. He was saying that one, it was just an instinct, like something just told him to do it. And he also talks about his connections to God, saying that because of that connection to God, he feels like he can do that type of stuff. I think as a person, once you say you have a connection to God or you relate God in your life and stuff like that, when people see that from the outside, they're thinking maybe you are a trusted person. That's because it's coming from a higher source, isn't it? So I guess that's another thing that also makes him seem just as trusted, as well as his fame and his money as well, because he claims that God's there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's true. Josiah, you know what? Before we started recording, you made a very, very, very good point in regards to we're talking about trust, and we're having a conversation in regards to this. And you said something along the lines of putting your trust in people is obviously dangerous, but there's other things we can put our trust in. Do you want to delve into that a bit more?
Yeah. So there's another thing that I was looking at as well. We don't only put our trust in. I think sometimes we can have such thing as like a subconscious faith or subconscious trust in other things. So let's say objects or things. For example, let's say like as an Israelite, if I was in a dark place or if I was feeling down, my result would be I would go to pray or look to seek help from only God. I wouldn't be from things like man or certain things like that. But you have people who would, in those situations, resort to alcohol, or they'll put their faith and trust in alcohol or drugs or weed or something to make them feel better. So that as well, it might not be seen as a person or whatever, but it's also like if you're putting that trust, you're giving it that same sort of power or role as you would in God if you know what I mean. Even harming yourself and stuff like that as well. There's trust in pain. There's a lot of stuff that we do that people don't even realize that they're doing, but it's like subconscious trust and faith and other things as well that we need to be careful of, because it's a dangerous thing.
Definitely. I saw again. Sorry, I know I'm going to mention it again, but I saw another TikTok. I'm on that app too much. I need to come off. I saw another TikTok, and it was a black boy talking to. I think it's like a Latino boy. It's in New York, and the Latino boy was explaining I think he's a rapper. This black guy. I'm not too sure who he is. And the Latino boy he must have been a fan or something, and he was saying how, look, I'm really going through it right now. I'm depressed. My I think he said his brother or his cousin or something that just committed suicide that day, and he's really going through it. And the rapper gave him really good advice. He said, look, just keep your head high. You know, the normal motivational things.
Yeah.
But I'm just adding to what you said specifically. He said himself, look, the day my dad died a couple of years ago. The day my dad died, I've been depressed, and the way in which I suppress the depression, or the way I treat it, is I take perks or I take drugs. And as to what you're saying, I'm not gonna even only equate this back to the black community, because it's not. This is a thing. Like, people genuinely equate back to, you know, alcohol, drinking, drinking, drugs, you know, activities in which that it'll take their mind off of it, or it'll take their heart off of depression. But that will be short-term relief, and like long-term, it's not going to help. Do you understand what I mean? It's never going to help. In fact, it's just going to make your insides worse. Do you understand what I mean? And luckily, us as the children of Israel, we have the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob to call upon in times like that. And we don't need to resort to alcohol or drugs or anything like that, because at the end of the day, as we'll go into the scriptures, we'll see many examples of our forefathers that were going through problems, or, you know, needed the deliverance or the guidance from our Father, and the God of Israel delivered them out of it. So that is an amazing point about people going into substance abuse and stuff like that. So that will bring us nicely. Did you want to add to it? Did you want to add to anything?
I was just gonna say, just basically finishing what you lot are saying is, people think that's gonna help them. They might be going through some stuff. People think, this is what I can do. Go drink, go smoke, and I'm gonna feel better. You might feel better for what, hour, 2 hours, but the long term, it's nothing. It's not gonna help.
Never. It's a long-term solution to everything.
And exactly, and well, for us, it's easy. We're Israelites. We can go pray to the God of Israel. But for other people,
you know what?
we have nothing else really.
I'd love to say that it's easy. I'd love to say that it's easy, but, you know, we're humans. Do you understand what I mean? We're humans. We're not always going to be that perfect Israelite to, you know, lift up our hands to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and we're in times of trouble. Do you understand what I mean? We're humans. We're guilty. The same way we sin, we're guilty of probably not like, for example, if I was going through a bad time, I'd like to think and hope and pray that the first thing I'm going to do is go to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But some people's stress relief might be to go to the gym. Do you understand what I mean? But as an Israelite, it's nice to think, I'm going to go straight to the God of Israel and pray. But that's not always the case. So I wouldn't say it's always easy, but it's definitely the thing that we definitely always need to do.
It's the best thing to do as well. The best thing.
100%.
But again, this is why we're here teaching for everyone. This is like, come find out more about us. Like, subscribe, share. If you find out, you can find our website in the description below. And just quickly as well, back to the Kanye West thing, is that my advice is train the youngest from young to believe in God, believe in the God of Israel. From me, I've been an Israelite my whole life, so this is why I know certain things the things Kanye West says, I know it's not true. So
take it even a step further. You're the first of rap in the UK. You got to brag about that one.
You know, I know what's right and what's wrong. So
exactly.
But anyway, we're gonna go into the scriptures now. I'm just gonna, if you guys don't mind, turn your Bibles to Genesis chapter 39. I'm just gonna read that for you, and I give you a few explanations.
As we turn our Bibles, as Eli correctly said, if you want to know more about this nation, like, comment, subscribe. You see a video on here every Friday, every Saturday, and if you're lucky, you'll see it on a Sunday as well. And if you want to know more about us and get in touch with us, the link is in the bio. So please don't be afraid. I'm telling you, this is the place to be. The grass is not greener on your side.
It's true.
It's greener on us.
Okay, you guys ready?
I am.
Okay. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, brought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down to thither. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master in Egypt, in the Egyptians. So I'm not too sure if you guys are familiar with the story. So before this story, Joseph was sold to the Egyptians by his fellow brethren. And as we can see in verse 2, he was a prosperous man. He was Jacob's favorite son, and that's what happened is Israel. No, his brethren didn't like that he was his favorite, and he was having dreams, and he told his brethren didn't like the dreams, and basically they just got jealous and they sold him into Egypt. Verse 4. No, verse 3. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer of his house, and all that he had put into his hand. So Joseph was obviously, as I said before, he was a prosperous man, trusted in the Lord, he believed in the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac. Yeah, sorry?
I said, no, I was saying that's really, really, that verse, when I say it's really powerful, as in like the status that Joseph had, this guy he's at a really high position in a strange land. Do you understand what I mean? He's not an Egyptian, he's an Israelite. Do you know what I mean? And later on, we'll go down in the Bible and we'll see that the Egyptians and the Israelites never ever got on. Do you understand what I mean? When this man is the same with Moses, this guy is in Egypt and he's at such a high position. Do you understand what I mean? That's like that's like me going to a strange, I say a strange country. That's like me going to like Poland or Eastern Europe and being a prime minister. Do you understand what I mean? Or being somewhere or the vice president or something. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it just shows the power of the God of Israel. Really, it just shows how powerful he is, and if you serve him correctly, do what he's pleased, then the sky's the limit. Where was that? Verse 5. And it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in his house and over all that he had, that the blessings of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand. Again, he left all that he had in Joseph. It just says a lot. It speaks for itself. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast his eyes upon Joseph, and she said, lie with me. But he refused and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house, and he committed all that he hath to my hand.
Quickly, Eli.
Sorry?
Like before you explain that, right? Because you're gonna have to. I just want you to can you just quickly reread verse 5 for me, please?
Verse 5. And it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in his house, and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake, and the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house. And
the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake.
Yeah, that's
Do you understand what I mean? Now, when I read this verse, immediately what came to mind was, let's say, this might be extreme. Let's say Satan himself, right? In the form of a man, a physical man like you and I, right? Is sitting on a plane right next to me, right? And we're mid-air, yeah? The God of Israel, bear in mind, it's Satan, right? And let's say, as I said, he's a physical man, so that means he can physically die and never come back to life. Yeah? The God of Israel is going to make sure that plane lands safely purely because one of his children are on that plane. Do you understand what I mean? It's an extreme example, but my point is that the God of Israel blessed. Again, you'll see later on that the Israelites and the Egyptians became enemies, right? And he blessed these guys' house, these people. He blessed these people for the sake of Joseph, so that Joseph's life's made easy in that land. Do you understand? Because of how much our Lord loved Joseph and how much trust that man put into our father.
Yeah.
Right? That's all I wanted to verse. Sorry to cut you off.
No, I agree. It's crazy. that it's Egyptian's house, and the God of Israel is blessing the Egyptian's house just because of Joseph.
Yeah, you'll even see all the madness that our father done to them people because of the fact that they held us captive. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
But these people were blessed because of one man. Do you understand? And because of this man's trust, that because of the trust this man had in our father, God of Israel blessed them as well.
Yeah. I'll read from verse 8 again. But let me go from 7. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast his eyes upon Joseph, and she said, Lie with me. But he refused and said unto his master's wife, Behold, my master's wotteth not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand. There is none greater in this house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? So again, we see that Joseph is there being a good Israelite, really. He's just showing that nothing can really tempt him. Literally, what's happened here is that not Joseph's wife, Potiphar's wife has basically said, lie with me, which means sleep with me. And Joseph has just declined. And again, it shows how good of a man Joseph is, prosperous man. And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her, to lie by her, or to be with her. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. And she caught him by his garment, saying, Lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got him out. So was he going to say something?
No.
And it came to pass, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of her house and spake unto them, saying, See, have brought he an Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. So what's happened here is she's again asked Joseph to lie with me, and Joseph again said no.
Several times.
Yeah, this time he ran away. And what happened? He's left his garment with her, and now he's left his garment with her. It's made it seem like he's committed.
Yeah, she's framing him.
That's literally what it's framing him, and we're gonna see what happens after, but you'll see. And it came to pass when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled and got him out. And she laid up his garment by her until his lord came home. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, The Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in unto me to mock me. And it came to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out. And it came to pass, when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, After this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him into prison. So what's happened is now obviously she's framed him, and it doesn't look good for Joseph, really. It doesn't really look good. But
Nah.
you may be thinking, where am I going with this trust? But I explained earlier the story on how Joseph got into this situation already, got sold to the Egyptians, and it says it there. Really, is he's had trust in the Lord, that he knows he hasn't done anything wrong.
Yeah,
he knows he hasn't done anything wrong, so he just believes in that the God of Israel is going to keep him safe. And we've seen it here. He blessed the Egyptian's house just for Joseph, literally what Levi said before. So it just shows the amount of trust Joseph had into the God of Israel, and he's just being blessed. He's just being blessed for what he's doing.
For that situation, like for him to be brought in as a captive and then being blessed and held up highly, as Levi said, like coming in from a strange land and then put on a pedestal. It's crazy because that wasn't his original purpose of being here. So the trust in the God of Israel, it just shows how powerful or how far that can take you as well.
Yeah, exactly. Verse 19. And it came to pass when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, After this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound. And he was there in the prison. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy. I gave him favor in that sight of the keeper of the prison. Again, literally, he's given him favor. He's putting Joseph on the pedestal again because
Yeah.
he knows Joseph again. He knows Joseph hasn't done anything wrong, and Joseph believes. Well, in my opinion, I believe that Joseph believes and trusts the God of Israel that he's
Yeah.
gonna look out for him in that prison, and again,
Yeah.
it looks like he is.
Quickly, before you carry on, verse. What verse is it? What verse is it? Verse 5, right? Where it speaks about he's okay. I'll read verse 9. Sorry, I'll read it. There is none greater in this house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, but because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, another synonym I wanted to mention earlier to trust, I would say, is fear. And the reason why I say that is if I ask you to, do you trust your parents? Say yes.
Yeah.
Do you fear your parents? I'd say yes. And the reason why I say that is the dynamic between an Israelite and his father is the same as a parent and a child. I trust my parents and I fear my parents more so that I usually say to myself, I trust the Lord so much that when I want something or when I need help, my hands are going straight up to him, right? But the fear comes in where I start to think to myself, if I break any of the law, statutes, and commandments, this might just be me thinking this, but if I break any of the law, statutes, and commandments, the God is might not answer my prayers. That's the way I always think by it. And I sort of live by that to sort of keep me on this path, right?
Yeah.
Now, the reason why I wanted to link that to verse 9 is because the last bit says, how then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? This is the same exact situation that happened with David and Uriah. Uriah wasn't an Israelite, but David slept with Uriah's wife and was punished for it. It's the same situation here. So that's exactly why it would have been considered a sin for Joseph to then do that with the Egyptian's wife. Right? Do you guys get it?
Yeah.
That's all it is. That's all it is.
Okay, yeah. Nah, I completely forgot about that, but yeah, it's true. So he would have been sinning. He would have been sinning. That's because I read that and I was thinking, is that really? I was going to ask a question. Is that really sinning? But you just hit the nail on the head there. But the Lord, I'm going to read from 21 now. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in prison, and whatsoever did they there. He was the doer of it. So again, we've seen how many times the God of Israel has blessed Joseph. He's been in these situations, but Joseph had trust in him. Guess what? He's been blessed by the God of Israel.
Yeah, you know what? When Joseph ended up in Egypt, he probably was thinking the same thing I was talking about earlier in regards to what am I gonna do with myself? Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
He didn't know he didn't know what was gonna happen to himself. He's probably thinking, what exactly am I gonna do with myself? And I guarantee he put his trust in the God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob. And that's exactly why he ended up in the position that he did. Do you understand what I mean? It's exactly why he ended up in such a high status because of the fact that he had so much trust, so much faith, belief, even fear in the Lord God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So without that trust, he probably would have fell by the wayside and strayed away from the God of Israel. Do you understand what I mean? But he didn't do that.
You know as well, like if we were to, let's say you put someone in real life in this situation, which is like the problem what we have with trust. If someone was in a situation, let's say they were put in the bad situation, and then it, like miraculously for them got better, they would say, let's say they are a Christian, they would probably say, oh, it was due to God. And then if they were to continue and it's getting better and better and it gets worse again, like straight away they'll lose their faith. Like they wouldn't like they won't keep that same faith that they had when they was up there. So it just
Your
goes to
faith is
show
always tested through the worst times, isn't it?
Yeah. So it just goes to show how much he had, because most people would lose it after they lost everything. Even, for example, like another person, we're not going into it, but like Job, he was tested in situations and he had trust due to like through all of those hard times, and it ended up getting better for him again. So that's one thing that people need to learn how to have, just consistent trust and faith in God or the God of Israel. Even for us, consistent faith in the God of Israel in our lows and our highs.
Yeah, it's
So,
about being patient. Really, you're not.
yeah.
It's not gonna just come like that. So, gotta be patient and just believe in the God of Israel. Have trust in Him that He's gonna deliver you.
100%.
And the keeper of the I'm gonna read from 22, the last two verses. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison, and whatsoever did they there. He was the doer of it. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him, and that which he did, the Lord made it to prosper. The Lord was with him. That part there is it's important. It's the most important part, really. It just shows again. I've said it so many times. He's been blessed. He had faith. He had trust. He believed in the God of Israel, and he's been blessed. But that's also. But as Josiah said earlier as well, Josiah was talking about Job, which is I was going to speak about Job as well. Job, we saw how many things. What happened to Job? All his cattle died. His animals died, his family, children, so many things happened to him. Lucifer wanted to test him, said to the God of Israel, I believe that he's only a perfect man because you're blessing him with all of these blessings. And so God literally tested him. God tested him, killed everything. He even got sick. God said to Lucifer, just don't kill him, pretty much. Don't kill him. And guess what happened? Job didn't turn away. He believed in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and he didn't turn away. He carried on. And again, after he got blessed again, many more.
Yeah.
Also,
just a quick point. Just a quick point. I gave a lesson on Saturday. I opened up on Saturday, and we spoke about Job. Funny enough, we went into Job, and I spoke about my lesson was based on temptation. I'm just gonna quickly digress, really quickly, but not too much away from the lesson, right? But I wanted to ask you a question, yeah, both of you, if possible. Yeah. So, Job 1 is one of the last verses. I can't tell you exactly what verse it was because I don't have the scripture next to me. But it speaks about when everything was taken away from him. Because if you read it, a third way down the scripture, it starts to speak about everything that was taken away from him in consecutive order, like back to back to back to back to back. And then at the end of the scripture, it speaks about how he started praying, but his prayer wasn't to specifically ask for the things back, but his prayer was to thank the God of Israel for the fact that he had those things in the first place.
Yeah.
So the question I wanted to ask you is, do you reckon that's human nature? Do you reckon be honest, because I said to I did say in the lesson, look, I'm a human, and in situations in the past where don't get me wrong, it wouldn't have been anywhere near as bad as what Job suffered, but I had situations where I've struggled in the past, but the first thing I've done was to pray to the God of Israel for to deliver me out of the situation. Do you know what I mean? But I didn't pray to give thanks for that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So what would you guys do? Do you guys think you do the same thing as Job?
I'd be like 100%. You said it's a new human nature. It's not, and that just shows Job was literally a perfect man. Job was a perfect man. We're not perfect, so by Job doing that, it just shows, because I know for a fact, I'll pray I'll pray
to get the things back, or to help you out of the situation. You wouldn't give thanks.
Exactly. Yeah. I wouldn't give. I mean, I wouldn't give thanks. I'll give thanks for everything else. But
yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. I did say in the lesson that I could probably count on one hand, probably half of one hand, how many people in the Bible were described with the word perfect.
Yeah.
And that just anyway, sorry, I digressed. It was just because you mentioned Joel, there was a good point that I was thinking of. Well, go on. Sorry to cut you off, Eli.
Yeah, did you want to say something as well? Did you want to?
What about the question he asked? To be honest, I think in my situation, you saying to give thanks after everything has happened, and for the thing that you used to have. I think I think in this situation, it's a very different time. He was probably a lot closer to God than I would say I am as well. And I don't think I would be. That wouldn't be the first thing in my mind. I would definitely give thanks for the things that I have, and that I'll be grateful. But to say or to give thanks for what he used to have after it's been gone, it shows a different level of like respect and trust in the individual to even
Exactly.
Definitely.
so
Yeah. No, yeah, literally. So yeah, it's true. But what I think as well is in the Bible, I think a lot of stories, a lot of scriptures, it's kind of linked to trust some way or another. And when you brought up Job, I was actually kind of happy you brought up Job because I was literally going to speak about Job. I have many more as well. David's another one. Noah. There's so many people that just have trust in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I'm going to read another one as well. I'm going to read about Abraham and the sacrifice, the ultimate test about for Isaac as well. And yeah, we'll see what happens there.
Do you want me to read?
Yeah, if you want, yeah. Genesis chapter 22.
Look. Once again, guys, if you like what you're hearing, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, help the Israelite nation get the word of the Lord out there. Because as we see in our day-to-day life, it's far from it. So please help us. If you want to get in contact with us, the link is in the bio along with the website. And it's floating right below Eli right now with the phone number and the website. So please, please, please get in contact with us. Eli, you ready?
Yeah, chapter 22, yeah?
Yeah. And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham. I said unto him, Abraham, and he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of.
Okay, I just want to just briefly just talk about verse 2. And you actually, the way you read it was perfect as well. You said, and he said, Take now thine son, thine only son. Only that word there is significant. It's an important word there because it was his only son, and he's had to sacrifice him. Basically, he's gonna have to sacrifice him. And yeah,
Only is the only son
only,
that the God of Israel recognized because he did have Ishmael. He did have Ishmael. Do you want to carry on?
Abraham,
Okay, verse 3. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass and took 2 of his young men with him and Isaac his son and clave the wood for burnt offering and rose up and went unto the place of which God had told him. So to set the scene really quickly, the God of Israel literally told him to sacrifice his only son, right? Sacrifice. Now, okay, no. In fact, let me read on. Let me read on before I make my point. Verse 4, then on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and the lad and I will go yonder and worship and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son. And he took the fire in his hand and the knife, and then went both of them together. Now, I'm going to be honest, guys. This next verse, I'm not going to say it makes me cry because I'm a grown man, but it does hit me. It does hit me. Like, it really, because it's really emotional. Because I remember I taught a lesson probably in the end of 2020 with Tamia. And I forgot the topic specifically that we went into, but I asked this same question to her, right? And I'm going to ask it to you guys in the comments. So please, in the chat, make sure you give your answers because, it'll be interesting to see what you guys are thinking, right? But I'm going to ask you two as well once I read verse 7, right? So, verse 7, it states, And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father and said, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. And he said, Behold the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? Now, I'll be honest. That the reason why that hits me, right? And bear in mind, I'm a 21-year-old young man. I don't have no children, but that would hurt me because in essence, what he's saying is that you've got everything for a burnt offering, but you don't have the most important thing, which is the lamb. So what's being sacrificed? Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah,
He
literally.
doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what the God of Israel told Abraham. He doesn't know anything like that. He's just following his father's instructions, being led by his father, and you're gonna see what is to happen, right? So when he said, My father, I see everything, but where's the lamb for burnt offering? Me as a father, I'll probably break down and cry. And that just goes to show the level of trust that that our forefather Abraham had in our heavenly Father. Because remember, at the time, there was no laws, no statutes, no commandments, and Abraham was a Hebrew, meaning he was one of the first people like of his time to worship a God that wasn't seen. So he's well out of the ordinary from the rest of the world. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So in doing that, the trust that he must have had in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in his heart must have been extraordinary for him to listen to a voice, because at this point it is just a voice, right?
Yeah.
It could just, he doesn't know if he's going mad or not, but he's listened to a voice instructing him, telling him to take his son, his child, to go and sacrifice him, right? And he's actually going ahead with it. That goes to show how strong that guy's faith was, how much fear he had in the God of Israel, and how much trust he had in the God of Israel, because he knew it's an instruction from the Most High. It's an instruction from the Creator. So he has to follow it. He has to follow it. Do you want to carry on reading, or do you have anything to chime in with?
What's verse you at?
Verse 8.
Yeah, you carry on.
And Abraham said, "My son, God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering." So they went both of them together. And they came to the place which God had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there and laid the wood in order and bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth. Sorry, was you going to chime in?
No, I'm just no.
Okay. And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called upon him out of heaven and said, "Abraham, Abraham." And he said, "Here am I." And he said, "Lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him, for now I know thou fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me."
Just want to say here, it shows it again, just like the Joseph scripture. It shows the faith, the trust, the belief you have in this. If you have the belief and trust in the God of Israel, it was at the end of the day, this was a test. The God of Israel had his plan. He knew what he was doing.
Of course.
So he had his faith. Abraham had faith in the God of Israel. You can say faith, you can say integrity, you can say whatever. But at the end of the day, he did what the God of Israel was going to do. I mean, he did what the God of Israel told him to do. He was going to do what the God of Israel told him to do, and the God of Israel stopped him midway, saying, "No, don't do it." And he's going to be. I mean, surely he gets rewarded for it. Surely he gets rewarded for it. But,
also comes with what Levi was saying earlier about fear as well. He had that fear in the God of Israel, so he wasn't going to go against what he was saying, and that's plays a big part in trust, because I'm pretty sure if you didn't fear the God of Israel, you'd probably be thinking, "Oh, okay, like it's going to happen. I could do, you know what I mean?" And also when you think about the role Isaac may have had in Abraham's life, I think that pretty sure was his first son with his wife. On top of that, that was after his name was changed as well. So it was that Isaac could be a sign as new beginnings for Abraham as well. So that could be that was probably a very big task for him to even do.
Very, I can't imagine it. Do you know what? So, the question I wanted to ask you guys, and I really want everybody in the chat as well to be answering this question, and it'd be interesting to see what your answers are. But I want to ask it to you two, considering obviously I'm teaching with you guys, right?
Yeah.
Now, put yourself in the shoes of Abraham. You're Hebrew. Remember, I said him being one of the first people to worship a God that's not seen, right? So this could be anything. It literally could be anything. It could just be like you could question it and say, like, anybody else in the world, like if someone else is talking to themselves or whatever, you'd think, oh, it's just they've got mental problems or they're hearing voices or whatever, right? But he knew this was the true living God, right? If you were in Abraham's shoes, and God told you to take your son up, right? Your son to go and, sacrifice your son, right? And that was an order from the Most High God, right? Do you think your trust would allow you to, do you think you have enough trust in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to just go and do that? Be realistic, because I know it's easy to say, yes, I'm an Israelite, I'm going to listen to the God of Israel. It's very easy to say that, but you need to actually add in human emotion, human nature, and do you understand where I'm coming from?
I'm going to be so honest. I think it's hard. It's very hard to say. It's very hard to say. So I would I'm not gonna give an answer. I'm just gonna say, if I was to get put in that situation, then I'll see what I do. But but to be fair, I don't think anyone can really give an answer because, or you might say yes. You might say yes. You probably would say
it
yes.
is as well. Like I can't lie. The way I'd answer now is I'd obviously say, yeah, I'll be able to do that, but that's because I know in the end of it, I'm probably thinking.
I know what you're gonna say though, because of course, but then imagine you're in Abraham's position. You don't have the Bible.
That's what I'm saying.
Examples, so
I don't know.
Abraham's position.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because I wouldn't know any. I wouldn't even know the God of Israel's tendencies of what he could be planning. In my head, I'll probably be thinking, "Raw, my only son." Like,
yeah. But then also as well, it's a bit. I mean, none of us have children, so we don't know the bond.
I don't think you need children to answer that though.
No, I think
you know how you are. You know how love the baby.
No, but that's what I'm saying. No. I'm saying as in a way, as in because we don't have children, it's probably easier for us to say yeah. I think it's easier to say yeah.
I'll be honest with you. You're saying yeah a bit too easily, right? you're saying yeah too easily. I can't tell you I'd say yeah. And the reason why I can't tell you I'd say yeah, right? I believe this book, right, the Bible that we read, is comprised of the most unique stories and unique situations that Israelites have gone through, right? And I don't think we pay so much emphasis and so much attention to this story if it was just second nature for a human being to just commit. Do you understand what I mean? So if it was such an easy act for us to just do, why are we reading this right now? Why are we glorifying his trust? Do you understand? Why are we making it seem as if he was such an amazing servant to the God of Israel? If it's such an easy thing to do, I'm going to be honest with you. I'd plead and cry to the God of Israel and just say, I beg, just take back the instruction. Because I can't tell you, I would say, I know full well I'm not saying yes or the word yes. I might end up doing it. If I do end up doing it, the God of Israel probably wouldn't hear the word yes come out of my mouth. He'd probably just see me go and do it. But that's because I physically can't. I don't think I have it in my heart to just. If I'm in Abraham,
to believe what you're doing.
Sorry?
I said you wouldn't be able to believe what you're doing yourself. Like, it
you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Nowadays, as you said, if the God of Israel said to me today, go and do that, I have the text here, obviously with the guidance of my elders and my council, if them sort of things did happen in today's time, I have my council, my elders, and I have this book to use as an example of what has happened. Do you know what I mean? And what could happen. But Abraham didn't have anything like that. He had nothing like that. And if I was in a situation, I can't tell you it'd be an easy decision. I can't tell you I'd say yes. I can't tell you I'd say no.
That's why I said I don't think I can give you an answer, because I know I can't say sit here and say I'm going to say no.
No, I think your answer was good. That's why I can't say no. I think that's the best answer to give. I think that's the best answer to give personally, because I can't tell if I say yes or no. So I think saying I can't give you an answer, that's a good answer.
Yeah,
personally, I think so anyway.
Hey, I don't think in our lifetime as well, I don't think we're going to go through any sort of those trials that these guys are going through in terms of times are different. So they might be similar, or even similar might be a stretch. I don't think it would ever be. We'll never really know
near that.
Yeah, we'll never know what it was like, and even the stuff we go through now are hard. So imagine that. I don't think I'd be able to do it. I'll be like, I mean, I probably would in the end, but it wouldn't be a thing where it's like what you said. It wouldn't be a thing where I've agreed to it or it's straight away. Like I've told myself, I'm going to do it after the first time. It'll be a thing of mourning and crying and a long time before. Yeah.
Put it this way, I hope I have it in my. I hope I say yes, because I'm like reading the scripture back. And when I say that, I know when I have children, I'm going to love them unconditionally, but I love my father like so much. And he's the reason why I'm here and my children are here. So if he tells me that's what you're going to do, obviously if I know that this is the situation, and obviously it's not going to go. No, tell it that even if I don't know that's going to happen, if my father told me to do something, it's an instruction. Do you understand? It's an instruction. The God of Israel he's done it for a reason. Do you know what I mean? He's not an unjust God. He's not going to tell you to go and do something that has no meaning or no reason into it. Do you understand what I mean? So yeah, I don't think it's as easy as saying yes. And I hope half the comments ain't saying, yeah, I'll do it, because I'll call you all out right now. You're liars. But yeah, that's the way I look at it. Do you want to carry on, or is that as far as you wanted to go?
You can carry on. You can, yeah. No, that should be enough. That should be enough.
Okay, so cool. We've spoken a lot about, the power of Israel, or the children of Israel, having trust in the Lord. But what happens when we don't? What happens when we don't?
That's where I wanted to come in as well. I was doing a lot of looking up and research on this type of thing as well. When you don't have trust in the Lord, I believe. Actually, no, I'll let you guys go first because this is where I've got to read as well. So, Eli,
So
what do
you want
you?
us?
Yeah, what do you guys think? What do you guys think the consequences would be, or even if there is a consequence, what do you think happens when you don't trust in the Lord?
Well, as I said, I always equate the word trust, and whenever I'm thinking about a specific word, I always look at the synonyms so I can find other words that sort of relate to it. So as I said, I'd relate faith to it. I wouldn't have faith in something I don't trust. I'd relate fear into having trust because I have so much trust in the Lord that this is the truth, so much so that I fear the Lord God of Israel enough to follow the law, statutes, and commandments. Reliability, the God of Israel is always there for me. So he is the most reliable source. Do you understand what I mean? So I say so if I didn't have trust in the Lord, the consequence.
I don't think we can. I don't think we can say
the God of. Well, I know what scripture you're going to go into, but yeah, you'll see.
Yeah. I don't think we can say
a choice of consequences.
Exactly. I don't think we can say.
Yeah. So So I'm gonna go into I'm pretty sure. Well, I know all of us know, but the people watching, hopefully, you guys know the story. But the story of David. So I'm gonna go into First Chronicles, chapter 21. Yeah. I'm gonna read from verse 1.
Do you want me to read, or do you want to?
Yeah, you can read if you want. Yeah.
Okay, give me a second. Let me just get it. I'm working with one hand right now.
Yeah. Just quickly, So before this verse, I read it through a bit. It just speaks about the battles and all the wars that were going on beforehand, before this particular part came across. Mm-hmm. So if you would like to read that, you don't have to read it for this because this isn't the same thing. But anyone watching, anyone will read what happened before. That's what's basically taken place. So it's like a contrast between then and now. So yeah.
Okay. Quickly before we get into it again, I'm going to keep stressing the audience. If you're not already, like, comment, subscribe. Again, the phone number and the website is floating below, Eli. But if you want, further assistance, the link is in the bio. But please help us get this message out to the world, because this is the true and living God that we're speaking about, his people that we're speaking about, and the word that we're speaking about. So please help us in our mission. Yeah.
Amen.
Thank you, guys. All right, cool. So, do you want me to start, Giselle?
Yeah, 21.
Verse 1?
Yeah.
Okay. And Satan stood up against Israel and provoked David to number Israel. And David said to Joab and to the rulers of the people, "Go, number Israel from Beersheba even to Dan, and bring the number of them to me, that I may know it." And Joab answered, "The Lord make his people 100 times so many more that they be. So many more as they be. But my lord the king, are they not all my lord's servants? Why then doth my lord require this thing? Why will he be a cause of trespass to Israel?"
Yeah, so let me stop you there quickly. So basically what has taken place. So in case you don't know, the way the God of Israel likes to show his power is through his numbers, which would be the lesser numbers, because obviously I'm going to go into more about what it means to have lesser numbers as well. But the reason why Joab has questioned David, asking him, "Why are you numbering Israel?" is because he's saying, these are the Lord's people. These are his people. Do you not believe that regardless of how many numbers they have over us, that he will deliver us? That's why he said, what he said, the Lord make his people 100 times so as many more as they be. So in comparison to them, they have 100 times more, but these are the Lord's people, so there's no need to number us.
Look at it with us. You can even relate it back to us today.
Yeah.
Funny enough, just to quickly mention this, because my dad spoke about this on Saturday as well. He mentioned it at our service. It's a good point you made about the God of Israel showing his strength through numbers, and obviously having like the lesser number to show how strong of how great of a God he is. And it's funny you say that, Eli. You relate to this. Remember, we're at our grandfather's house, He's come from the Caribbean and he's a Christian, like him and his family are Christians. And I'm putting emphasis on the word Christians because they are Christians, right?
No, but yeah.
And so we had this discussion. We probably were. I'm going to give you guys a bit of a backstory. We were there for about 4 hours, and about three and a half hours. Bear in mind, I haven't seen my granddad in like 5 years. About 3.5 hours, we spoke about Israel. We spoke about the Bible. We spoke about religion, right? So I didn't even get to really converse with my granddad to see how his life was or whatever. But quickly, right? So long story short, we're speaking about the Bible. I can't tell you exactly where we were at this point in the conversation, but they got to a point where our cousin, she asked, because my dad mentioned about our father choosing us because we're few in number, right?
Mm-hmm.
He spoke about how we're a peculiar treasure and all that sort of stuff. And then Deuteronomy 7, right? And then so when we mentioned all that, their first question was, so how many people are in your church? We said in the UK about 80, 90.
80.
Their response was, well, is that it? Because they don't understand how our
spiritual.
Father works. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. They don't worship the same God as us. They don't, but they claim to read the same book as us. And if they really did, they'd understand it. They don't understand how strong and how powerful our Father is and that he does these things on purpose. He chose us because we are few in number. Do you understand what I mean? And that shows his might. That shows his power. Do you understand what I mean? So it's the same sort of similar situation with what you just read.
Yeah, and even on top of that, I'm going to repeat it again after this as well, but what people need to understand is that when it comes to God, he's spiritual. We're spiritual people. So a lot of, so for example, for David to even look and see physical only, knowing the type of man he is, like even when he fought Goliath when he was younger, that was all due to faith. Goliath is a big man, physically bigger than him. He's a lot smaller than him. Naturally, you'd be thinking, "Raw, I can't fight a guy of this type of strength." We're spiritual people. We have the spiritual army behind us. It's not just what we physically see. So
very, very
also,
good point.
yeah, so it comes as a disrespect as well. So that's it makes sense as to why we are fewer in numbers, because we are bigger in our spiritual, in that we've got strong.
We're spiritual people. So spirituality comes first. Yeah, very, very, very good point. Very good point.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah.
What verse? Verse 3, verse 4?
I believe so.
I think so,
yeah. Verse 4.
All right. Nevertheless, the king's word prevailed against Joab, wherefore Joab departed and went through all Israel and came to Jerusalem. And Joab gave the sum of the number of the people unto David, and all they of Israel were 1,000 and 100,000 men that drew swords, and Judah was 410,000 men that drew swords. But Levi and Benjamin counted he not among them, for the king's word was abominable to Joab. And God was displeased with this thing, therefore he smote Israel.
Yeah, so
sorry.
actually,
Now
no,
go for
reading.
Continue reading, yeah?
Yeah, go on.
Okay.
Verse
8. And David said unto God, I have sinned greatly because I have done this thing, but now I beseech thee, do away the iniquity of thy servant, for I have done very foolishly. And the Lord spake. Go for it.
Yeah. So from where was it? Verse 7. After the numbering has gone out, and after they've counted the nation to see their army and everything, the God of Israel has now come back as displeased. So he's angry. He's annoyed. He's thinking. So it's a disrespect unto him that you're not having David, especially a person that God highly regards, isn't having that sort of faith and trust in the God of Israel. It's kind of like a disrespect. It's like a throw in his face. Like, I've done so much for you, and then you think that this will be the end of you. If you know what I mean. So now he's taking it out on Israel. It's like what did you say earlier about how with Joseph, due to his trust and his faith, he was blessed, and the those around him were blessed. And in this one is the opposite. Due to the lack of trust and faith, those around him are going to be punished. Yeah. So it just goes to show. That's what I was saying earlier. What do you think having lack of faith and trust could do to you? And it could really ruin you. Could be the end of you in a way.
It's true, because I even read a story. I can't quite remember what it was, but a lot of like we could. I'm an Israelite, and I could be murmuring and doing all manner of things with you, Jedi, or with you, Levi, and that could have a negative effect on the rest of our brethren. So it doesn't matter if it's just you doing it or a few people doing it, 3 people doing it. It could really affect everyone else, and yeah, it's pretty much just the same thing as what you said.
It's like even saying when, like, for example, that we were talking about earlier with the young people about the way they have faith and trust in someone like Kanye West. Like, that is someone that we shouldn't have faith and trust in. So when you don't have it in within the God of Israel, or you have it in the wrong things, or you have the lack, then things could really, like, it could go worse for you. Things don't get better from there. So yeah, it just goes to show, like, you where your faith should rely on, or where it should be. But yeah,
Wait, what verse? Verse
verse 9.
9. Okay.
Yeah, verse 9.
And the Lord spake unto Gad, David's seer, saying, Go and tell David, saying, Thus saith the Lord, I offer thee 3 things. Choose thee one of them that I may do unto thee. I can't lie, I did laugh at that verse. I did actually laugh at that verse because the God was giving him. We'll read it. In fact, let me read the rest of it.
Yeah.
So Gad came to David and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord, choose thee either 3 years famine or 3 months to be destroyed before thy foes, while the sword of thine enemies overtaketh thee, or else 3 days the sword of the Lord, even the pestilence in the land, and the angel of the Lord destroy throughout all the coasts of Israel. Now therefore advise thyself what word I shall bring again to him that sent me. So the God of Israel was giving them a choice of punishment.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, I did laugh at that because it's a unique situation. Do you know what I mean? Imagine your parents giving you a choice of a punishment, and it's not like usually with us we choose the lesser of the rest.
Yeah.
But all of them I think are just as bad as each other, right?
Yeah.
Can I think? Yeah. So do you want to carry on?
Yeah. Yeah. Go on.
Verse 13. And David said unto Gad, I am in great strait. Let me fall now into the hand of the Lord, for very great are his mercies, but let me not fall into the hand of man. So the
Yeah.
God of Israel
So
has gone, Jazar.
yeah. Well, I'm sure. Assuming you're going to say the same thing. The God of Israel, He's chosen the punishment to be done by the hands of the God of Israel rather than the hands of another man. Because at least then He's relying on the God of Israel's mercy to be taken. No, he's trying to. Yeah, he's relying on God of Israel's mercy rather than the merciless of another man. If you know what I mean.
It's out of, he understands as well the God of Israel's punishment is out of love and
Yeah.
like more of a lesson than anything else. If another man punishes David, when I say punish David or punishes Israel, we
Israel.
know it's gonna, as you said, it's gonna be merciless. It won't even be a punishment. It'll be life.
Maybe a slaughter or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. What verse 13?
Yeah.
And David said unto Gad, I am in great strait. I am in great strait. Let me fall now into the hand of the Lord, for very great are his mercies, but let me not fall into the hand of man. So I read 14.
Yeah.
So the Lord sent pestilence upon Israel, and there fell of Israel 70,000 men. So a sickness, a great sickness, or like a plague.
Yeah.
All right. Let's carry on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And God sent an angel unto Jerusalem to destroy it. And he was destroying, and as he was destroying, the Lord behold, and he repented him of the evil, and said to the angel that destroyed, It is enough. Stay now thine hand. And the angel of the Lord stood by the threshing floor of Ornan, the Jebusite. That speaks to his mercy that you were just speaking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally.
Yeah. Verse 16.
Yeah.
And David lifted up his eyes and saw the angel of the Lord stand between the earth and the heaven, having a drawn sword in his hand stretched out over Jerusalem. Then David and the elders of Israel, who were clothed in sackcloths, fell upon their faces. And David said unto God, It is not I that command the people to be numbered. Sorry, let me read that again. Is it not I that commanded the people to be numbered? Even I is that have sinned and done evil indeed. But as for these sheep, talking about Israel, what have they done? Let not thine hand, I pray thee, O Lord my God, be on me. let thine hand, I pray thee, O Lord God, be on me, and and on my father's house, but not on thy people, that they should be plagued.
Yeah, so what you just read there is so David, even in verse 8, was talking about how he's sinned. So he's thinking that the sin is like, as much as he said it will be on Israel, he's thinking it's not going to be as harsh on everyone. Even though the God of Israel did hold back a bit, because the angel was ready to just wipe out everything, and he told him to just relax a bit. So, but David's thinking, maybe it's a bit too much. It wasn't not me that made the mistake. It wasn't all of these people. These people only done what I've called out for. So why are they getting punished as harshly?
David's he's a great man. Like, he's a good sibling to his Israelite brothers and sisters. Because Eli, you can definitely attest to this, because we've all done it in our household. If one person has done something bad and none of us are like trying to admit who it was, we're all getting a beating, and none of us are coming forward. We'll all just take the beating. I wouldn't turn around and say it was me to save you lot. I'll be honest. You lot are getting it with me. That's exactly what. David's a good man. I'll be honest, because he has it in his heart to do that. I mean, nah.
That's why I say though. That's why I say when Josiah asked the question on what the consequence should be for lack of trust, that's why I say there's not really a consequence. Sorry, there's not really a consequence. That's why I say we can't say the consequence.
Can't tell the consequence. Yeah,
because the God of Israel, he can do what he wants. He can. If I sin, that I did a sin, and he goes to do something to the rest of the nation or brethren, yeah, it's my fault. But at the end of the day, the God of Israel is not wrong. I mean, he's never, he can't.
Wrong. Yeah, in his judgment.
You can't really tell him what's right and what's wrong. So
of course not.
Yeah. Usually the consequence of trust as well for certain things will be what you don't want. So let's say for example, you on a job as well, you're praying for the job, or actually no, let's say you're not praying for the job. You say you want a job, but you have no trust or faith that you're going to get the job. Or you're not paying no work towards it. You're not going to get it. More time you're not going to get. So that's basically what his consequences as well. It could have been even that's why he's giving them choices. Like one of them was basically like giving them onto the hands of the other people is like losing the war basically. So that was something that he didn't want, isn't it? So yeah, but
do you want to continue or?
Yeah, you can go. Unless you guys have anything else to say, you can.
No. Verse 18, right?
Yeah.
And the angel of the Lord commanded Gad to say to David that David should go up and set up an altar unto the Lord in the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. And David went up and at the saying of Gad, which he spake in the name of the Lord. And Ornan turned back and saw the angel, and his 4 sons with him hid themselves. Now Ornan was threshing wheat. And as David came to Ornan, Ornan looked and saw David and went out the threshing floor and bowed himself to David with his face to the ground, because David is a king, or like right? And so then David said unto Ornan, grant me the place of this threshing floor, that I may build an altar therein unto the Lord. Thou shalt grant it to me for the full price, that the plague may be stayed from the people. And Ornan said unto David, take it to thee. Let my lord the king do which is good in his eyes. Lo, I give thee the oxen also for burnt offerings, and the threshing instrument for wood, and the wheat for the meat offerings. I give it all. And King David said to Ornan, no, but I will verily buy it for the full price, for I will not take that which is thine for the Lord, nor offer burnt offerings without cost. So David gave to Ornan for the price of 600 shekels of gold by weight. And David built there an altar unto the Lord, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings, and called upon the Lord, and he answered him from the heaven by fire upon the altar of burnt offering. And the Lord commanded the angel, and he put up his sword again in the sheath thereof. At that time, when David saw the Lord, he answered him in the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. Then he sacrificed there. For the tabernacle of the Lord, which Moses made in the wilderness, and the altar of the burnt offering, were at the season in the high place of Gibeon. But David could not go before it to inquire of God, for he was afraid because of the sword of the angel of the Lord.
Yeah, so just that's the ending of the scripture. Basically, David has now come to terms that he needed to make a sacrifice, or make a sacrifice, or just like even to give some sort of offering to the God of Israel, to even apologize for for his wrongdoings. But obviously he's seen the angel of the Lord with the sword, and it scared him off a bit. He's a bit terrified from what he's seeing.
That's very, very, very true. Very true. So you know what? I think this is another example, or a good example of, an Israelite that lacked the trust in the Lord, because ultimately, I feel like if you're not an Israelite, you won't really understand this story. Because again, you said it's perfectly about Israel being a spiritual nation first. Elder always says it. Do you know what I mean? He always says spirituality comes first. And this is a prime example of that, right? David clearly numbered Israel, and only took into account the physical when the spiritual are also around. And it makes, it's kind of hard to process, because after all, our Father, we call upon our Father in spirit and in truth, in spirit and in truth. So spirituality should always come first, you know what I mean? So I think it's important to, having trust in the Lord is always going to be important. And I feel like keeping or having trust in the Lord is what keeps us on this path, right? There's a Psalms I wanted to go into. I'd assume that everybody could probably guess it, because it's quite a bait Psalms. It's a very, very nice Psalms, and it speaks volumes to how strong and how powerful it is to have the trust in the Lord God of Israel and not in anything else. There's a very famous biblical quote that's in the Psalms, and if you know what it is, put it in the chat, guess it. So yeah, if you guys don't mind coming with me to Psalms 118. Guys, we're coming up to the end soon, so I want to again stress, please, please, please like, comment, subscribe, share it with your neighbor, your auntie, your uncle. Put it on your Facebooks if you guys still use Facebook. Put it on Instagram, put it on Snapchat, put it on everything. Do you understand? This is the God of Israel word we're trying to get out there. And again, thank you, moderator. The number and the website is floating at the bottom of the screen. So please do not hesitate to get in touch. And the link is also in the bio. I should set a like goal, innit? I should turn into a proper YouTuber and set a like goal. So let's see. Likes. No, I'm joking. I wish. So Psalms 118. I don't know if any of you guys want to read. I can read it myself.
I know I'm reading.
Go for it. Thank you,
bro. I'll give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, because his mercy endureth forever. Let Israel now say that his mercy endureth forever. Let the house of Aaron now say that his mercy endureth forever. Let them now that fear the Lord say that his mercy endureth forever. I called upon the Lord in distress. The Lord answered me and set me in a large place.
Quickly.
The Lord is
Verse 5 is important for me specifically. I called upon the Lord in distress. The Lord answered me. Again, I mentioned how a synonym for trust for me, and I think I researched it and it came up on the internet as well, is reliability, or being able to rely on somebody. Calling on to the God of Israel is a sense of reliability. The God of Israel is always there for us, and he never leaves our side. So in times of good and bad, the God of Israel is there for us, and all it takes for us is to be his children and his servants and lift up our hands and call upon his name. If you don't mind carrying on, please.
Yeah. Verse 6. Yeah. The Lord is on my side. I will not fear. What can man do unto me?
Sorry, that's another verse that I like. The Lord is on my side. I will not fear. What can man do unto me? So when I was thinking about this verse, I was thinking about, you see the average Tom on the street walking up with his puffed up chest with the so-called confidence of the world. And he probably thinks the same in his head. What can a man do to me? I only fear, well, God is the only one I fear, or whatever, right? But the reason why this stood out for me is because for someone that's not an Israelite, not someone that's not a child of the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, this so-called what can man do unto me? It doesn't stand for you. It doesn't mean anything for you. The reason as to why we are able to have that sort of mentality of what can man do unto me is because we have the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. We have that source of trust or that source of belief or faith in something to allow us to even think like that. Do you understand what I mean? So we should or we can walk the street thinking, what can this man do to me? Do you understand what I mean? We can walk the street saying God is the only one out, because our Father, like, do you understand? He is our Father, but the average Tom on the street doesn't have the God of Israel, so he can't think that. Do you understand what I mean? If you don't mind carrying on.
Yeah, I'll carry on. You want me to start from where? 7?
Not 7. Sorry.
6. I'll go from 6.
Read 6 again. Read 6 again.
The Lord is on my side. I will not fear. What can man do unto me? The Lord taketh my part with them that help me. Therefore shall I see my desire upon them that hate me. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man.
Reload that one. Reload that verse. Reload that verse.
It is better to trust the Lord than to put confidence in man.
Go on to verse 9 again for me, please.
It is better to put trust in the Lord than to put confidence in princes.
I'm gonna need you to reload that one as well.
It is better to put trust in the Lord than to put confidence in princes.
I don't think you understand how key and how self-explanatory them two verses are.
It is.
They're so obvious, they're so key, but yet the world still do that. Yeah. The world still put their confidence in man or in princes. And I'm going to use princes as a metaphor, right? So I would consider princes to be money.
Yeah.
Money,
fame, and it's literally linking
girls.
back to Kanye.
Yeah, Kanye. I was just gonna say that.
Girls, well, guys for girls. You know
yeah.
Guys for girls for guys. You know what I mean? What else is there? Luxuries. Do you understand? A certain lifestyle.
But
then, sorry.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that tie into it. Yeah.
You can even go. I mean, I wouldn't consider it a prince, but you can go like the cross.
Yeah.
Wooden stone. Because you've got Christians that worship the cross, Muslims that walk around Mecca. Do you understand? There's so many things, and then to put your trust in man, it will relate right back to our conversation about Kanye West. Do you understand what I mean? It relates right back to that because, as I said, the children of Jacob specifically, because again, he is, I'm not even going to say is, because obviously with what's going on with him now, was a very vocal, and he was the focal point for the black community. I'll say in America, because I'm not claiming him down here, and I'm sure you lot, I say America, you lot can claim him. But I say he was a focal point for the black community. Do you understand? As I said, they allowed him to name himself Jesus. Do you know how much trust, how much you must have to, I'm going to use it like an English terminology. You know how much you have to rate this guy to allow that? Do you understand what I mean? You have to really, you have to really be influenced by this man for him to just get away with something like that.
Again, I think he believes in it himself. That's the thing.
He does. 100% he does. He names his shoes Yeezys. Do you understand? He definitely does. And like, obviously, us as Israelites, we obviously know he's being stupid about it, but Christians, the ones that, you know, I'm sure they claim, or they wear the cross and they claim, you know, Jesus is God or the Son of God or whatever they claim. They allowed it. Do you understand what I mean? So they put so much trust in that man and allow him to get away with it. And that's a dangerous thing. Quickly, very, very quickly, go on.
And that's, again, I hope everyone sees this. This verse here, it is better to put trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. I don't understand how people can read that and not understand.
And misconstrue it with anything else.
Exactly. It's so self-explanatory. It's so self-explanatory. And
you see that all the scriptures you guys read was, you know, Genesis, Exodus, the beginning of like Israel. And look at the reward that they got from putting their trust in the Lord. What else would you put your trust into? Do you understand what I mean? Let's quickly fly through this. Verse 10 for whoever's reading, please.
All nations compass me about, but in the name of the Lord will I destroy them. They compass me about, yea, they compass me about, but in the name of the Lord I will destroy them. They compass me about like bees. They are quenched as the fire of thorns, for in the name of the Lord I will destroy them. Thou hast thrust sore at me that I might fall, but the Lord helped me. The Lord is my strength and song, and has become my salvation. The voice of rejoicing and salvation is in the tabernacles of the righteous. The right hand of the Lord doeth valiantly. The right hand of the Lord is exalted. The right hand of the Lord doeth valiantly. I shall not die, but live
Live
and
and
declare the
declare the
works
works.
of the Lord.
Quickly, very, 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 very quickly. But again, self-explanatory. I will not die but live and declare the works of the Lord. So after all the hardship that I've gone through, I'm gonna boast about how great my God is and how I'm gonna boast about the benefits of putting my trust in the Lord. Right? If you don't mind, continue reading.
From where? Sorry, 15.
Yeah. 60,
No,
18, 18, 18.
18.
Sure.
The
Oh,
Lord hath chastened me sore, but he hath not given me over unto death.
There we go.
Oh,
That's exactly like a father-son or a father-daughter dynamic. My father has punished me for my wrongdoings, but he hasn't given me over. Or he hasn't betrayed my trust.
yeah.
He hasn't let me go. He's been by my side regardless. Mercy.
Mercifulness. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Mercy. Go on, continue, please.
um, open to me the gates of righteousness. I will go into them, and I will praise the Lord. This gate of the Lord into which the righteous shall enter. I will praise thee, for thou hast heard me, and art become my salvation. The stone which the builders refused is become the headstone of the corner. This is the Lord's doing. It is marvelous in our eyes. This is the day which the Lord hath made me. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Save now, I beseech thee, O Lord. O Lord, I beseech thee. Send now prosperity.
Thank you very much. So as I said, guys, this was my closing scripture, and this sort of summarizes the whole lesson. How powerful it is to put your trust in the Lord God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Put your trust in him, putting your faith in him, putting your belief in him, and to rely on him. Or the shadow always says, prepare for the worst, hope for the best, and let the God of Israel do the rest. Do you know how much trust you have to do to element and execute them instructions? You need to keep the Lord God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the center of anything you do. Yeah, in anything you do. So for the young people watching this, if you have exams, if you have, things you want to accomplish, you want to conquer, not even just the young people, to all
Old heads.
all the people in the nation as well, even for the youngers, everybody in this nation who calls upon the God of Israel, remember he's there for you continuously. He's never going to leave your side, right? This isn't Islam where they teach about how God left Israel for that. This is not that. The God of Israel has always shown examples where he's like, regardless of the wrongdoings we've done, even going back to the times of Moses and Aaron, when the children of Israel in the wilderness were building a golden calf, like he punished us, but he didn't leave our side. Do you get it? So we need to stay on this course, stay on this path. Keep the Lord God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the center of everything you do. Do you guys have anything to add before we close up?
Go on.
Nah,
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah.
No, not
He's did a
really.
good job in the little conclusion then.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, really, just keep your trust in the God of Abraham, God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. And again, if you don't know where to find us, again, link in the description. Our website number is right there, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thanks, bro.
So,
So, guys, as I said, thank you so much for coming on, joining us on this Friday night. Thank you, Josiah and Eli, for your amazing co-hosting. You guys were amazing. I thank you guys again for showing love and tuning into this lesson. We hope you took something away from it and have sort of lifted your spirits a bit more, especially as we're going into, the dark times. Remember trust, remember faith, because you're going to have temptation trying to grab you from left, right, and center. Just keep your God of Israel in your mind and your heart, and he will never let you down. So with that, guys, last time I'm going to say this: like, comment, subscribe. Make sure this goes to around every social media you have. So if you still have Facebook, again, please put it on Facebook. Instagram, I'm sure the nation's gonna Israel Nation's gonna be putting on their Instagram. So if you do follow them, please put on your Instagram stories, Snapchat. They've made it easy for us to put the link on there now on our stories. So make sure the links are in your stories. And yeah, if you want to find us, the nation's website is in the bio, and the number is also there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another Friday night Bible study with the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. My name is Levi, and my co-hosts were Eli and Josiah, and we hope you have a good night. And with that, we say peace.
Peace.